Hey guys, today I just want to take a moment to talk about being rational and how it can affect and change your life in a positive way. If you can make sure you like and subscribe down at the bottom, leave any question or comments about anything you want me to go over in the future. So when it comes to rationality, I would say this is one of the biggest things that really started to make a big change in my life. I remember when I first started my OCD journey, I had a lot of really irrational beliefs. And one of the biggest ones that I had is that really brought me to be so scared and focus on my breathing initially before it went completely out of control is excuse me, allergies this time of year are terrible, so but I believed that if I had a panic attack that I was going to die. Because when I had a panic attack, I had a seizure and it hurt so bad, and it was the closest thing that I felt like, death was. And I also thought that if I ended up having a panic attack, that it would cause me to spiral and then I would end up killing myself, right? Which is really, really irrational, honestly. As I've progressed forward, I've I've had some really irrational beliefs about like the way that people look at me, the fact that I should deserve to be treated a certain way, that I should have respect from others. Also that when it comes to, like, let's say women, like that I should be able to have a good relationship with women, and that I should not have any issues, and that I should always be treated a certain way, and that if someone that cared about me that much treated me that way, that's not someone I wanted to be around. Just a lot of like really irrational beliefs, for my sensory motor, believing that if I didn't control my breathing, that I was going to not be able to breathe. It's, pretty hardcore. I also used to really believe that if I focused on my body sensations nonstop, that it was going to eventually ruin my life, that I was going to die. Like, honestly, like it was like I was just going to spiral down out of control. And a lot of very irrational beliefs about the way that I feel physically. Excuse me. And it's pretty interesting, the transition that has changed for me, that has made such a big difference. So in the book, How to Stubbornly Refuse to Make Yourself Miserable About Anything, one of the books on the reading list, it talks about ways that, you can use a scientific method to break down your irrational beliefs and make them into something that is rational, where you can actually see it for what it is. And maybe it is bad, right? Maybe it is scary, but then you can see it for what it is and be able to accept it, that it's probably not as bad as you're making it, right? So my first irrational belief, if I have a panic attack, it'll cause me to spiral and make me kill myself. So I used to believe that when I was like 20, 21, I had this series where I had panic attacks like 3, 4, 5 times a day for a month straight until I got on Paxil. And I thought that was the worst experience of my life. And looking back at it now, it's not even a big deal at all. It doesn't even matter. I don't really care about it. And at the time, though, it was such a traumatic experience, right? And it was because I'd really made it that way. I had told myself that's the way that situation was, and I had looked at it like such a big scary thing, like, man, if I have this panic attack, I just ran away from panic attacks because I was like, man, if I have this, I'm gonna end up dying, I'm gonna end up killing myself. And I ran away from it for years until eventually I ended up having 3 hernias all at the same time, and I couldn't run anymore. I had to lay there and be uncomfortable, and that uncomfortable sensation is what I'd been running away from for years. And when I finally went into it and ran towards it, yeah, it was really difficult, really tough. If I had faced it right when it started years and years ago, it probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But instead I decided to run away from it. So how did I become more irrational? So for me, when I have a situation that comes up that makes me not like something, or something that I'm uncomfortable about, I kind of let it do its thing and make me uncomfortable. And if it lingers, then I know, hey, maybe this is something I should take a look at. And I will usually just break it down for what it is. For example, like if I have a panic attack, why is that so bad? Well, if I have a panic attack, it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel like I'm going to have a seizure. My breathing gets kind of erratic. Maybe it causes temporary paralysis in my arms, my legs. I fall to the ground. My tongue goes numb. It's hard to talk, and it literally feels like someone beat the crap out of you because my muscles will tense up. I literally have anxiety seizures. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, that may be kind of painful and maybe kind of scary and maybe difficult to deal with. But if it did happen, I mean, I wouldn't die. I wouldn't lose my mind. I mean, I thought maybe I would, and maybe because I would feel that way, I wouldn't be able to stand this and I would kill myself. But then I thought, well, I mean, I could, it would be difficult and maybe challenging to endure, but I could live with it, right? I could stand it. When I changed my mentality to, I can feel that way and I can be uncomfortable, and just because something happens doesn't mean that something else is going to happen. There's no universal law that says, hey, if you have a panic attack, Paul, you're going to end up killing yourself, And when I was really able to start to see those fears for what they were and be able to break them down slowly over time, what happened is naturally my mind came to these conclusions themselves, and I didn't really have to break them down. Okay. So, using the scientific method to break down your irrational beliefs so you can accept them. Okay. Now the next thing is, when it came to irrational beliefs about myself, it only got so far. I feel like, I really worked on a lot about me, but I had to really work on irrational beliefs about other people. And once I did really work on that, it really started to help me understand myself so much more, right? That we are all humans, we're fallible, and we're capable of making mistakes by design. We're flawed, we're faulty, we're meant to cause problems a little bit, And so one thing I did for myself to help me understand myself is I looked at, how I was raised, religious background. I looked at my friends, my family, the area I grew up in, poverty level, and I was really able to understand myself and my beliefs and my parents, how they treated me, how things happened to me in school, and maybe kind of how my personality is the way it is, and why I may do some of the things that I do, right? Well, when I run into situations with other people where they're being super irrational, I'm able to really look at them for who they are by understanding where they come from. Now, maybe just a random person, it may be difficult, right? But so for you guys that don't know, I do door-to-door sales. That's what I do. I've done it for 13 years, okay? And one of the biggest things I'll tell people is when you go to someone's door, you don't know what's going on with them. You have no idea what's happening in their life. You could knock on someone's door and their dad just died. You could go to someone's house and a super tragic incident happened. They could be in a fight with their husband or wife. They could have be experiencing bankruptcy. They could be on their deathbed, and you go to their house and they can yell and scream at you and be super rude to you for no reason. So how did I overcome that? I decided that every door I went to, I had to realize that I was a guest in their home and that they had every right to treat me in any way that they wanted to, because it doesn't change who I am and it doesn't change who they are. It just makes it a circumstance and a thing that happened. So when I was in situations with people I would know fairly well, I would really look at where they came from. For people that I was really frustrated at, I would try to understand them, and I would really take time to look at their background, where they came from, so on and so forth. And then I was really able to understand them and take my emotions out of the equation and be able to accept them, right? And rationality in turn just brings acceptance, right? And it's not necessarily easy, but once I started to diagnose, or not diagnose, but look at other people for who they are and really understand them, I was really able to understand myself, and it made a tremendous difference in my life, right? Well, once I did that, I started to look at, other things like in life, and like when it comes to like being sick, for example, because I was uncomfortable with body sensations. I used to, I always have this, I have allergies, always have this trip. And with OCD, having sensory motor OCD, it used to be a thing where it constantly caused me problems, and now I realize it's, it's just genetics. My father has literally been sick for 10 years. He had crazy allergies, really bad. And he lived in a house with black mold. It literally made him sick for 6-7 years, moved out, still sick. And for me, I'm prone to have issues like that. And it's a part of life, and there's nothing I can do to change it, and to worry about it and freak out about it isn't going to help anything. So being rational for me is really just being able to see things for what they are. And when you don't take time to look at those things and be able to understand them, it's gonna continue to bug you, right? So, or maybe cause fear, right? And it's really what rationality does is it just slices through fear like butter. And it brings on acceptance. And acceptance to me is kind of like, if you think about a home, the integrity lies in its foundation. And I feel like rationality and acceptance are the foundation to a happy life, because you can understand that all emotions may be in some way a full part of the human experience. Some may be, unpreferable, but you can handle them. And any life circumstance may be not great, but it also may be great. And by design, nothing's going to be put in front of you that you can't handle. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it is. That's not how the world works mathematically, like if, so I would say for me, rationality has really just helped me accept myself and others and my life, even when they suck, even when I can be an asshole, even when people are super rude to me, when someone cuts me off in traffic. I don't get upset about people who do dumb things to me anymore, because I understand them, and it's okay for people to be like that, because everyone is fallible and capable of making mistakes. So anyways, I hope this video was really great. I love talking about it. So I appreciate everyone's time, and I hope you guys have a great day. So thank you.